way. The best thing you can do is get some of your psychologists who are already pretty well trained in autism and understand it to learn ABA, to take the coursework that you can go to the BACB website, www.bacb.com. Go there and find the universities that are throughout the world that offer coursework in behavior analysis that allow you to become certified as a behavior analyst. You can take some of those courses. A lot of those places offer those courseworks online. If you already have a master's degree or a bachelor's degree, you can, in a related field, you can take these courseworks, you can take the test, and as long as you can then get supervision from another BCBA, possibly done via distance as well, over the internet as well, you could become board certified. Get some of these psychologists already living here board certified. Get them knowing what they're doing, and then they can start training other people and start growing it here just like we did. I don't speak Hungarian, and I don't know anyone who does. So the idea that I'm going to be able to help more than 2 or 3 families here is not likely. But the more awareness there is of these techniques and the value of what we do, the more psychologists and young people coming out of school who want to help and who see very little happening in the traditional methods and who are aware of a workshop like this, they're going to start searching for this information too. And support from families and government agencies to help them get that credential that they need and get the experience they need is going to be crucial to helping more and more families.
Does the government pay for this service in Germany or the rest of Europe? Or
in the States, most ABA programs are paid for by the school districts because it was determined by the U.S. government that a fair and appropriate education was the responsibility of the government, and that ABA is now being considered appropriate education for children with autism. So if your child is not going to succeed in an education program that doesn't have ABA in it, and the school doesn't have ABA, then the school can be asked to pay for the outside ABA services. And because of this, many schools are now hiring their own behavior analysts, and that have behavior analysts working for the schools. And many school districts in the U.S. now have ABA programs right in as part of their school. In Germany, when we got there in 2003, there was no cost coverage for ABA at all. So families started us by paying us out of pocket. But as we were making progress with these families, we were videotaping that progress. We were showing on our assessments the progress that the kids were making. Then we were taking that to the local government agencies and saying, look, you're already paying this much for these therapies, and these families would rather have the therapy that we're offering. Here is the benefit this child has made in 6 months compared to what they made in 5 years based upon what you're already paying for. And for the most part, we're the same price or less to have us than them. So give us the opportunity to continue working with this family by covering it. You won't have to pay for the other therapy institute. And if we continue to show you better progress and you continue to pay for it, we'll go. And we've gotten, because of the videos, because of the progress the kids have made, and because of the determination of the parents, we've gotten several of the local agencies to say, okay, we'll try it for 6 months. But after 6 months, we need to see the progress, we want to see the videos, we want to know what's happening. And after 6 months, we show them, and they renew us for another 6 months, and another 6 months. Now we've got local government agencies that are paying for all kinds of children and asking us, hey, we've got new kids, can you take this one, can you take this one? In most cases, we cost less than what's normally going on, and we're showing much better progress. And it just grew from one area to another. We started out with a lot of kids in Heidelberg and a lot of kids in Frankfurt, and it grew out from there through word of mouth, and now we're all over the country, and like I said, almost 300 children. Thanks.
And could you tell us a little bit about your successes, the things that you're proud of, all the progress that your kids were making, or just something about your institute, and your just would like to tell the parents and the professionals that the ABA is worth trying.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of two different questions there. The first question, the things that I'm proudest of. I think what I'm proudest of is how good of a teacher I've been able to become based upon my desire to want to find a better way. I started out as a regular education teacher, was substitute teaching, was asked to work in special ed because they needed more substitutes there. I started substituting in special ed and started realizing that I really had a knack for working with children with disabilities, and decided to go back and get my master's degree in special ed. But even after becoming a master in special ed, I didn't have the tools needed to help children with autism and some of my more difficult behavior kids. So I started PECs and taking all these workshops and sign language and teach and floor time, and eventually I found my way to behavior analysis. And I found something that I could hold on to that made me the kind of teacher I wanted to be. And I'm proud of the fact that I didn't give up, and I kept working and kept trying to find that, and that I did, and that I continue to try to get better. But I also have to say one thing, is that ABA and verbal behavior owe nothing to me. I'm now applying the principles and the techniques and the teaching procedures that great people have been developing for years and years and years and years before me. Since the early 30s, these principles have been, even before that, the 20s, these principles have been developing and growing. And there's people out there that deserve the applause for that. What I'm getting benefit for, or what I'm getting recognition for, is bringing it to Europe, bringing it to different parts of Europe in a format that parents and teachers can understand. But generally, I want to go back and thank the people like B.F. Skinner and Dr. Michael, Dr. Jack Michael and Dr. Sundberg and Partington and Carbone, and the people who've really done the research and the efforts in the States. I want to thank them for having this available for me to learn from. And I'm hoping that I'm introducing this to other people who can then become just like I am. Someone who then takes it and brings it even further and brings it to more families and to more kids.
Tell us a little bit about the progress or the results that you reached with
well,
kids.
It's hard to talk about the progress of our kids or the results that we're seeing, because you're always trying to balance getting people to realize that there is benefit here and that this can be a strong benefit for you and your child, with the idea of trying to sell a product. There's always that concern that if you start talking about what kids can do and what kind of progress they can make, that people are going to say, well, yeah, he's just saying all these things to try to get our money, to get us to come in. To be honest with you, applied behavior analysis is a teaching technique. Some children respond better to the way that I teach ABA than they would to the way someone else does. And other kids might respond better to the ABA being presented by another person than they do to me. There's lots of variables that go into the teaching. But as a parent, the best thing you can do is to try to find someone who has the science in their back pocket and has the data behind what they're doing, and to try to keep searching for that best way to maximize your child's potential. We have some children who go from completely nonverbal to 5 and 6 and 7 word sentences, regularly speaking, conversational. We have other kids, and some kids who can do that in just a few years' time. We have other kids who we start out with who are nonverbal, who we only get, after 5, 6, 7 years, we may only get them to 1 word sentences, or we may have them using sign language. Every child is so different that it's impossible to ever promise anyone any kind of result. The one thing I can say is that if you want something that's going to give your best chance for your child's best outcome, ABA is definitely one of the top things, first things you should be looking at, because we have the most data behind what we're doing, and we've been extremely successful in applying these principles to myriad kids, and a good percentage of our kids are making improvements well beyond what the government agencies and the parents ever thought was possible.